Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to week 2 of our online learning. Our focus today, our genre, is going to be on tall tales. When you were listening to the story, Paul Bunyan, I wanted you to ask yourself the 4 questions that you see on the screen. I am going to be highlighting those questions as we are discussing them today. So the first question was, what is a tall tale? So hopefully from the story you were able to tell a little bit about what a tall tale was based on the story Paul Bunyan. So a tall tale is an imaginative and usually funny story in which some details and actions are greatly exaggerated. So that would cover this bubble right here. Tall tales often feature a hero or a heroine, and they're often based on a real person. And a lot of times, he or she becomes larger than life in these stories. What is the purpose of tall tales? A tall tale is to entertain us. So, thinking about the author's purpose, the author is writing to entertain us and to teach us about good character traits. A lot of times, a tall tale often shows how human strengths, cleverness, and their know-how can overcome nature, machines, or just plain evil. So that is something that also a tall tale, that's the purpose. So authors write them to entertain them. Well, how do we read a tall tale? The title will usually name the hero or the heroine. So the title is very helpful in tall tales. And the beginning of the story will often tell about the hero's special abilities. Then normally the author will introduce the problem or the bully in the story. And we have to ask ourselves, how will the main character use his or her powers to defeat the bad guy? All right. And then the next question is, who writes tall tales? Well, many tall tales were written back in the 1800s, and they're set on the American frontier. So these tales about heroes and heroines with superhuman powers, they'll help people to cope with their difficult lives. That's why they were written. So they were written to help people to cope with their difficult lives during those times in the 1800s. The tall tales made people laugh and gave them courage to face their problems and overcome their challenges. So going back to the features of a tall tale, they're usually a funny story with exaggerations. The main character is a hero or a heroine, and it's often based on a real person. The hero may have a helper that might be an animal or an object. The hero has superhuman strength and skills. And the hero has to fight or outwit a bully in the form of nature, an animal, a machine, or a group of people. So today we are going to read a tall tale, and it's called Feebleson. And as you read, I want you to pay attention to how the writer uses the features of the genre to tell this story. So I'm going to just exit out here. And we're going to go into our story. Whoops, wrong one. I apologize. This is our story for tomorrow. We're going to go into our story, which is right here. And it is Feebled, which is tricky to say, but it's Feebledson. Oh, I hope I can say that right as we are reading it today. All right, follow along with me as I read, and I want you to be paying attention to how the writer uses the features of the genre to tell this story. Feebled Feebleson came from Sweden. He settled on the Great Plains of Nebraska. He wanted to be a farmer. The wide open spaces were empty. Feebled had no one to talk to. People passed by him on their way to California. They were looking for gold. Feebled sent for 1,000,000 crates of oranges from California. He scattered them across the plains. "Gold!" he shouted at the covered wagons. The homesteaders saw the oranges sparkling in the sun. They thought they had found real gold. They stayed for a while and got comfortable. Later, they found out that the oranges weren't gold and not even from Nebraska. There was no water for their crops either. They started to complain. Feebledson had a plan to keep his new friends from leaving him. He set 1,000 fires all around the state. The smoke formed rain clouds that watered the crops on every farm in Nebraska. Feebled saved the day. So let's go back and let's talk a little bit about our hero. We have learned that the hero in a tall tale has to outwit a bully. Does this tall tale have a bully? Who or what is it? Well, let's think about that. The first bully or problem in this story is actually loneliness. They tell us that the wide open spaces were empty. Right there. He had no one to talk to. And we know that he has a plan that he wants to keep his new friends from leaving. So the second bully or problem is that there is a lack of rain because he doesn't want his friends to leave and they're starting to complain. And it says they have no water for their crops. They start to complain. We also learn that the hero in a tall tale, has superhuman strength or skills. What superhuman feats does Feebold perform to solve his problems? What phrases in the author's descriptions of these feats include exaggeration? Well, let's take a look at, I'm going to delete this part here next. Actually, I'm just going to change the color. We'll do a pinkish color. Let's take a look at it. It says, Feebold sent for 1,000,000 crates of oranges. I mean, that's insane. 1,000,000 crates of oranges? And he scatters them across the plains. Okay, that is an unbelievable task. Nobody would be able to take 1,000,000 oranges and scatter them across the plains. Okay, we're talking a very, very large amount. The phrase 1,000,000 crates is definitely an exaggeration. And then another exaggeration is what kind of makes the story funny is it says that he sets 1,000 fires all around the state. The smoke formed rain clouds that watered the crops on every farm in Nebraska. So I'm going to highlight that section here as well. So if we take a look at these tall tales and we take a look at what are some of the features, again, this is just a little bit trickier of a story than the Paul Bunyan one. So we do know that in real life, many immigrants settled in the Midwest. That is a true statement. We know that our hero, Feebold, completes an unbelievable task. The hero will usually use his wits to get people to settle in Nebraska. So he did use his smarts to get them to settle so he wouldn't be lonely and have someone to talk to. And we also know that exaggerations make the story somewhat funny. So today we reviewed the key features of this tall tale. And I'm going to just close out one more time, and we're going to take a look at this graphic organizer one last time. So we reviewed these key features of a tall tale, and we discussed the important ideas and details, in Feebleson. That is really hard for me to say. Tomorrow what we're going to do is we're going to read and analyze another tall tale, and then we will compare and contrast the two stories to help us to understand the genre tall tales a little bit better. Have a great rest of your day, guys. This is all you have to do for reading today, is finish up with this listening of this recording, and then you may be done with reading for today.